Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to Twisted Serenity. Thanks for clicking on my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I created some beautiful fall decor. And it's a little different from what I usually do. And it does have some more color than I usually use. So I really hope you guys enjoy. Remember, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And turn on that bell notification to be notified when I post my next video. So with that being said, sit back and relax or craft with me. Let's get started. Okay, so for the first one, you guys, I am going to use this wood cutting board, and I believe I got this a while ago from the Target dollar spot, and I'm going to give it kind of like a dry brush, like a heavier dry brush of Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin. Now, I just made a decal, and it just says hello pumpkin with my Cricut, and I'm just going to transfer it right on there. This is the only wording this piece is going to have. Now, I wanted this to be like a full little fall sweets charcuterie board. So I wasn't going to show you guys how I did step by step of everything, but basically I took some air dry clay and I did a shape of a macaroon and a shape of a pumpkin, and then I painted it with a sponge, and then I'm going to go in with some some more air dry clay, and that's how I made the crust. I don't have no special fancy clays, you guys. I just used some clay from Dollar Tree. And I decorated a little pumpkin with some spackle and some cinnamon. And the macaroon is the same thing. I'm just showing you guys I got that little mold from Temu. And I'm just showing you guys quickly of how I made these. I'm not no pro making faux sweets. There's so many other YouTubers out there that make some gorgeous faux sweets, you guys. And I'm just showing you guys a little bit of how I put everything together. And for my macaroon, of course, I just went in with that spackle, and I'm just going to smooth it out. And then I'm going to put the other piece on top of it. And then I have some little sprinkles that I made. And I made some of these, and I had bought some of these. These were some of them in my stash. And I decorated the spackle. I picked out, because it wasn't just like these brown toes. I literally went in there and picked out like the brown, the orange, and the yellow out of all my full sprinkles, and I put that on the little fake macaroon. Another fake little treat that reminds me of summertime is a cinnamon roll. So I'm taking some more of that air dry clay. I have a little bit of like I think it's like a parchment white mixed with like yellow, and I'm just gonna color that clay. Like I said, you guys, I am not no pro of making these. And one thing, a tip that I did hear, a lot of people say color your clay like after it's dry. I don't listen, you guys. I colored it before, and the results still came out beautiful, at least in my opinion. So once I had put the paint in, I rolled it out, and then I'm like into like a snake, and then I'm going to flatten it, and then I'm going to roll it up into the shape of, at least I think that I made the shape of a cinnamon roll. And then I have like Territorial Beige, a little bit of Nutmeg Brown, some orange, some yellow. And I'm going to just paint it. And one thing I thought I don't know why the footage got cut off. When I painted it, it looks very darker, but then the end result looks very lighter. Because once I did paint that on, I just took a paper towel, and since it's air dry clay, very lightly I wiped most of the paint off, so it could just give me kind of like a different tone, like if it's baked. I don't know why I lost that footage, you guys. And one thing, a little disclosure I'm saying, you guys are gonna, I didn't have it covered up, but I have a big burn on my hand, so don't mind my big burn. I just had some ointment on it, and I wanted to let it breathe for a while because I had it covered up for so long. So as you see, like the end result of it, the color of the little cinnamon roll does look different. Now in the creases of the cinnamon roll, I'm going to go in just with some brown, just to make it look like that little cinnamon part in there, like a little bit darker baked. That's how cinnamon looks, you guys. I'm not sure even what I'm saying. And then I'm going to go in with some Mod Podge, because then I'm going to sprinkle real cinnamon on there. Now once I sprinkle the real cinnamon on there, I had taken some caulk and some Mod Podge in a little Ziploc bag and mixed it all up, and then I'm going to drizzle the icing right on top of our cinnamon roll. And that was it for that one. Now another little faux treat for fall time is s'mores. So I cut out 2 little squares with air dry clay, and I'm just going to take some I believe it's Territorial Beige, and just pounce it up and down. That's how I do it. I don't like to use a paintbrush because it leaves too many strokes. And then I'm going to just take my little Cricut tool. I should have more fancier tools for this, you guys. I just use what I have. And I'm going to make the little dots that go on a graham cracker, the little crease in the middle, and the little dots as well. Now I take our little graham crackers and I put them upside down, and then I've had this like little mixed concoction forever. Like, I mean, it's been months and it hasn't dried up on me since I have it in that bottle. And this is just some caulk, Mod Podge, and some burnt umber paint. And I'm going to put that on one side of our graham cracker. And that's going to be our faux little melted chocolate. And then I'm going to take a piece of air dry clay as our marshmallow. And I'm going to put it on the other side of our graham cracker. And I kind of like flatten it down so it can look melted. And then I just put the two little pieces together. Like I said, you guys, I'm impatient. I don't wait for them to dry at all while I'm putting them all together. I should, but I don't. And then I just put our little pieces together. And there we go, a faux little s'more. A faux little s'more. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Now, I'm just going to take all our pieces. And by this time, they're all dried, you guys. I promise. They're all dried now. They're all dried. And I'm going to lay them out on our little board. And I'm going to see how I want to place them before I glue them down. And just to glue them down, I just use some Aleene's tacky glue. And I glued all our little pieces down to our little mini faux charcuterie board. Now, I felt like something was missing once I did glue them down. So in the bottom left corner where I left a spot at, an open spot at, I took my spackle in my bag and I just spackled on some faux whipped cream on there, and I took the fake little mini sprinkles. I put some on there as well, some like a piece of a cinnamon stick and a little pumpkin button that I had, and so it looked like the top of a latte. And that was it for this one, you guys. I love how this came out. So stinking cute. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, you guys, for this next one, I went a little bit out of my comfort zone. And I want to show you guys how I created this. So I have this leftover can. I'm not even sure what was in it. But I know I used it to cook. I don't remember because I've been saving it for such a long time. And I cleaned it up really, really good. And then I used some plaster chalk paint. And I just took a sponge and I'm going to pounce the paint up and down. Now, this can, I have been looking for a long time already. There's these beautiful like Campfire brand marshmallow vintage cans, and the cans go for so much. And then I was searching for a decal online, and like nowhere had a decal. And so I just decided to try to make my own label for this. And I did this. It took me a while, and it's not exactly like the Campfire brand, but it's really, really close to it. And I had to do it into two because I did print it out on my regular printer. And obviously is it the circumference? Yeah, around the can. I think that's what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. It's 13 inches. So I did have to break it into two pieces. But I made the label, and you guys, it came out so stinking close. At least if you look at it fast and turn your head of how the real label is. So once the can was dried, I used some Mod Podge, and I went on to the label and I just started to Mod Podge my label onto there. And when I did it, there was a couple pieces that did wrinkle up and bubble up a little bit. I try to flatten as much as I can, even though the piece is round. But to me, I didn't care because this is supposed to be some old vintage type of can anyways. But I'll just let you guys watch how I did it. I did match up both of the labels to, like, you know, you see the red lines on the label. I made sure when I attached the second label, it was all matching up with each other, you guys. Now I did Mod Podge over the entire label, and then once it was completely dried, I took my nail filer and I'm going to file it downward, and I'm going to file the top and the bottom of the can just to get all that extra paper off. Now, once I had that all done, it was time to distress this. So I'm going to go in with my black paint and a little sponge, and I'm just going to go around some like random areas around the can just to give it like that really like distressed look. Now I want it to look rusted as well. So I'm going to grab some Mod Podge and some cinnamon, and I'm going to give it that rusted look. But once I did that, I went over the faux rust, so the cinnamon and the Mod Podge, when it was completely dry, I should say first. I went over it with my sponge and my black paint, and I just dabbed on some areas of the cinnamon. And I mean, that technique, the way when I did that, it gave it like that top-notch rustic look, you guys. And I just did this all around randomly around the can, all different spots. Now, once I was done with all the faux rust, I took my Distressing ink in Vintage Photo and like kind of like a makeup brush. I think that's a makeup brush. And I just dusted over the label to make it look very, very old and distressed. And that I love the way that it looked. So once I'm done with the can, I set the can to the side, and I wanted to fill up this can. And I just didn't want it to be just a plain old can. You guys can stop here if you want. But I wanted to make some roasted marshmallows. And I know how to make little fake marshmallows, but I'm like, how the heck am I going to give it that rusted look? So what I did was I took some air dry clay again, and I rolled it up to make it look like a marshmallow. So basically you roll it out, and then you just you just tap the top and the bottom just to give it the look of a marshmallow. And then I was like, I could go in with paint and do that whole technique. And I did try it for one, and the one I just used on the can, but I didn't like the way it looked. Now, disclosure, you guys, please don't do this. It could be flammable. I'm not going to be the one responsible for burning anything down, but I just went in. I ran out of liquid in my little torch lighter, so I had to use a regular lighter. And I just started to burn the pieces of the clay. And when I did that, it bubbled up, obviously, just like if I would be roasted a marshmallow. And I love the way they turned out. Now, I did that. I probably did about 10 marshmallows. Then I grabbed some more of the ink with my little makeup brush, and I lightly go over a couple little spots. And that gives it like a very like toasted look over the marshmallow as well. So I wanted to put the marshmallows inside the can, but I wanted to have like some paper or something in there. So I didn't have like any like brown paper or anything like that. So I just grabbed some wax paper with some antique wax and a baby wipe. And I basically just stained the wax paper. I use what I have, you guys. I don't go out and buy anything fancy. I literally use what I have, and I try to make it work. At least it works for me. So once I have the paper waxed and colored and dried, I grab our can and I just lay the paper in there, and I top it off with our marshmallows. And I love the way this came out, you guys. This has to be by far one of the most favorite projects that I've ever done. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so our next one, you guys, I have this like foam pumpkin. I'm gonna remove the stem from it, and I wanted to make a pumpkin spice latte, but I didn't want to do a full latte in a cup. So I'm going to paint this pumpkin with our pumpkin by Waverly chalk paint. There we go. Now, I needed something for the handle because I wanted to make a handle on our little pumpkin shaped cup. So I was thinking for a while, and then I had these wood rings from Dollar Tree. So I cut the wood ring in half, and I'm going to paint it. I believe it's Mountain Forest by Apple Barrel. And then I'm going to glue it onto our foam pumpkin, and that's going to be our handle. And it's so cute, you guys. I can't believe I didn't think of this any sooner. Now I have my spackle that's in my piping bag, so I'm just going to go on the top of our pumpkin. Now I don't have the right tips or anything. I just did like some swirls with like the tip that I have, trying to make it look full whipped cream as much as possible. Now I'm going to take the same sprinkles that I used in our first project, like the brown tones sprinkles and like some oranges. I'm going to put the sprinkles on there. I dust it up with some cinnamon. I put some cinnamon sticks on there. And Dollar Tree has like a potpourri bag that has like little mini pumpkins. So I took one of the little mini pumpkins out of the potpourri bag and I put it on the top of our latte. Now, I was just going to leave it just like this, but I forgot that I have so many of these. They're like the cup rub-on transfer type things from Dollar Tree. And this is the pumpkin spice, everything nice one. So I just cut it down and I lay it onto our foam pumpkin and I transfer it on. The only thing is, make sure that you guys have it in the right position before you guys lay it on there. Because the moment that you guys lay it on, that the transfers right onto there. So some spots like have a little bit like when I laid it on, some spots got on there and there was no moving it around. So just make sure you have it in the right position that you need to have it on. So for our next one, you guys, we have 3 pieces of scrap wood. One's roughly 7 inches, the other one 5 inches, the other one 3 inches. Now I wanted to cut the tops of all 3 of them at an angle. So I just take my ruler, I make lines, and then I'm going to cut all 3 of them at the same way, at the same angle. Now I take one and I paint it. I believe it's like I'll link it down, but it's like an apple barreled old blue. And this one I had to give it about 3 coats. Now I take the other one by Ivory by Waverly chalk paint and the other one Moss by Waverly chalk paint. Now once I had them all painted, I needed to have stems for them. So I have these little wooden spools. I believe these are from Michael's. And I stain them with some antique wax. And then I place one on top of each of our pumpkins. So our largest one is blue, our medium-sized one is ivory, and then our small one is like the greenish moss color. Now, these need a little bit more embellishment, so I have this faux leather ribbon from Dollar Tree. I want to take the faux leather ribbon using my Fabri-Tac glue, and I'm just going to wrap the ribbon around the bottom of each pumpkin. As I'm wrapping it, I make sure I'm pulling nice and tight so I could give it that nice clean look, and there won't be no like bubbles coming from the faux leather fabric. And I do this to all 3 of our pumpkins. Now I needed leaves for our faux little pumpkins, and I didn't have nothing that really matched, but I have these paper leaves that I had in my stash. So I went in with, I want to say with the color Chestnut by Apple Barrel, and I painted 3 paper leaves. All these leaves are going to be exactly the same except for their height and their color. But whatever I do to one of them, I'm going to do to the other 2 as well. So I felt like this color matched closest to the faux leather that's wrapped at the bottom. Once they were dried up, I took our paper leaves and using my Fabri-Tac glue once again, and I glued the stem part of the leaf to each of the little wooden spools on our faux little pumpkins. Now I need some more embellishment, so I have some wooden beads, and I basically stained 9 of the wooden beads because we're going to string 3 beads onto each. We're going to string 3 beads onto a piece of twine, so it's going to be 3 beads for every pumpkin. Once I did put them on the piece of twine, I cut down the twine and I did double knot it at the bottom. Now, once I had my 3 little beads done, I took the beads and the top part of the string, I glued it to the spool of the pumpkin. Then I take some more twine and I'm going to wrap it around the spool a couple times. As I'm wrapping it around, I do go under the leaf so I do not break the leaf. And I'm also going to cover the stem that we glued onto the spool using the twine. Then I made some simple twine bows and I glued my bow on there as well. And I did this to all 3 of our pumpkins. And that was it for this one, you guys. I love the different colors. I love that I use different colors. I'm always sticking to very basic colors, and I love that I just used especially that pop of blue. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so for our next one, I have this wood piece from Dollar Tree, and then I have this busted up crate that I'm going to reuse, you guys. So I'm going to stain that piece of wood just using my favorite, of course, antique wax. And I do the front, the back, the sides, I do it all. And then I'm going to take the crate and I'm going to restain that as well. The crate has like a missing like wood like slat. That's fine because that's going to be the back of it, and we're going to cover that up as well. Now once everything's dried, I'm going to take our crate and I'm going to use the messed up side. I'm going to put some hot glue and I'm going to glue it right onto our wood piece at the bottom of our wood piece. Now I want to put some stuff inside the crate. If you have the wooden pumpkins, you guys could use those. I wanted something a little bit larger, so I have these cookie cutters and I take out the second largest one, and these are just a little bit bigger than the wooden ones from Dollar Tree. And I take some cardboard. You guys could print it out on paper as well if you guys want to. And I'm going to trace it around the cardboard pieces, and I'm going to cut it out, and I do 3 of these. Now I want these to have like all different type, you know, like a patterns. You could paint them if you want, but I'm just taking some cardstock. Using some Mod Podge on each of the pumpkins, I'm going to put the cardstock onto each of the pumpkins. As you guys see, I took like the orange that has the print, like a green tone, and like a cream tone as well. The orange one, I will leave it as it is, but we are going to do something to the green and the beige tone as well. But I'm jumping the gun as always. But what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to cut a little bit of the cardstock off, and then I would take my nail file very carefully, since this is cardboard, and I'm going just to basically sand it all down just to give it a nice clean look. So we grab our tan one, and I'm going to grab some antique wax, and I'm just going to go around the border of the pumpkin, and then I'm going to give it a dry brush with my little mini chippy brush. Now for our greenish cardstock, I have these rub-on transfer from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut some of the pieces out, and then I'm going to transfer them all onto our green pumpkin. I just wanted to give these like different, all of them each a different look and texture, and that's the reason why I left the orange one by itself, and then I did some painting with the green one, and then the rub-on transfers, I'm sorry, with the tan one, and then the rub-on transfers for the green one. Now once I had them all decorated how I wanted them, I grabbed some twine, and I'm just going to wrap some twine on the top of it just to give it the look of a stem, and I do these for all 3 of our pumpkins. Now I do put them to the side, and I have this wood welcome fall sign, and I just paint that with some moss by Waverly chalk paint, and then I grab my Fabri-Tac glue, and I grab our piece of wood, and I'm going to glue it just about to the middle, so it is a little bit higher than the crate was. Now just to finish off the pumpkins, to give it a little bit more embellishment, I made little tiny bows. I put tiny bows on there, and I had to show you guys this. I grabbed my raffia, and Ace, my baby Ace, always wants to help, so I always leave his little chubby hands in there when he helps me. I love his little chubby hands. He's forever helping me. He stuck the raffia in there, and then we're going to stick our pumpkins right inside there as well. Now for our last step, you guys, I have a button, and I want to give it that rust look, so I'm just going to throw some Mod Podge on there and some cinnamon, and I give it complete coverage to give it that rust look, because I had made some type of messy bow. I'm not no pro at making bows, you guys, but I took our little rusty little button and I glued it right into the middle of our bow. Now this bow just has some burlap ribbon and some buffalo check tan ribbon, and I stuck some raffia in that messy bow as well. I grab our messy bow and I glue it onto the top of our board, and then I take our crate and I just stuck some little pine cones in there for a little bit more embellishment, and that was it for this one, you guys. This came out so cute and rustic. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, on to our last one, you guys. This one's so easy. I have this like black canvas, at 8 by 11 canvas from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to rip off the black canvas off. I'm just using my knife, and I didn't pull out all the staples, you guys, because those were really in there. So I just ripped off as much as I can with the knife. I left most of the staples in there. To set our canvas to the side for now, and I'm going to go in to grab a piece of foam board. Now, I cut the foam board just to fit basically the size of the canvas, and I'm going to take my apple barrel paint in the color Chestnut, and I'm going to give it 2 coats and wait for that to completely dry. Okay, so then I'm going to grab my canvas, and I'm going to use some antique wax, and I'm going to stain our entire canvas. I even get inside the borders, and I go a little bit heavier with the antique wax because I wanted it to have a darker stain. So once I have it stained, I made a decal with my Cricut. You guys could print it out. You guys can handwrite it. You guys can use stickers. That's what I did before I had a Cricut. I only have a regular Cricut Explorer, you guys. I don't have nothing fancy. And I just transferred onto our piece of foam board. And I was very pleased. It did not rip off. Then I go in to grab our canvas, and I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm going to glue it right onto our piece of foam board. And that is it for this one, you guys. And that is it for today's video, you guys, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy what you see, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on that bell notification to be notified when I post my next video. In the description box, I always have the link to the Buy Me a Coffee website if you want to help support my channel. Just by watching, you guys support my channel so much, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. I love you guys so much. Remember, as I always say, this world could throw you twists and turns, but always make good choices. To the next one, you guys.